and distinct honor to introduce our esteemed guest, the illustrious Padma Vibhushan, Dr. Raghunath Mashelkar ji. Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan. In 365 years, he's the only FRS from Maharashtra, the only one signed in the book in which Newton has signed. Sir has recently broke the record of 48 honorary doctors of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam and holds the national record of 51 honorary doctorates now. Let us come together in extending a heartfelt welcome as he shares his profound insights with us on this platform. Please join us, sir.
Thank you very much, distinguished dais and ladies and gentlemen. What a sight. I speak quite often in Pune, but a sight like this is very unusual. You know, it is just overflowing, and I understand the registration was stopped. That's fantastic. And that's fantastic for another reason. We are in 2025, we have just completed the first quarter of the 21st century, and we are beginning the next quarter century. This augurs extremely well. I hope Pune will keep this particular momentum. Sachin, our heartiest congratulations for pulling this off. Let's give him a big round of applause. Want to also extend very happy New Year to you all. Global Entrepreneurs Conclave. The word global is clear. The word entrepreneurs is clear. Do you know the meaning of conclave? So I deep dived into it and saw what is the meaning of conclave. It comes from the Latin word conclavium. And its meaning of a closed space, but where there is a deliberate assembly, the minds converge, ideas ignite, and there is a power of collective wisdom. So I think that defines what we are supposed to do also. That defines our responsibility also. And I think the power of the shared intent, and in this particular case, the collaboration is not only intentional but international, is also obvious. So I think we are on a great setting. I want to congratulate everybody who has come together to put this event together, MEDC, PCU, and so on. But a special word for Garji Marathi. Anand, it is your passion, along with your colleagues, and I have been associated with you from day one. Very, very proud of our association. You know, they say that you can take a Maharashtrian out of Maharashtra, but not Maharashtra out of a Maharashtrian. And I think this is a living example, and many of you. And therefore, I love your idea of NRM, as you called it, non-resident Maharashtrian, because it can do a global focus to Maharashtra, it can bring contribution in Maharashtra, to Maharashtra GDP, it can create a global identity. And Anand, GMG can play a very pivotal role in making that happen. I think when the Honorable Minister comes, of course, we will revisit it. But the idea is a fantastic one. I want to strongly support it. Anand, I agree as well as disagree with you. You said number 15,000 makes you happy. It does not. I'm a 10x guy. So the target is within 1 year, can we reach 150,000? We have to set high aspirations. I mean, there is no question about it. You have done great by having 25 centers of excellence in 25 countries. I have been a part of the GMG Global Excellence Summit 2023 San Francisco, where we made a commitment that we will contribute 1% of GDP, basically, you know, to Maharashtra. I think that's a great commitment. Why not? I think we should be able to do that. I remember the title of my talk in San Francisco was India's Emergence as an Exponential Inspirator. I love exponentials. I love 10x. I don't love 10% and so on and so forth. And I think it was 70 or 75-minute lecture, I had explained the meaning of that exponential and why it is necessary and why we are already delivering it. So I'm not going to repeat it. Best is not to repeat what you have already said. But I want to applaud you for a number of things that you have done, like the Garje Marathi Jnanakosh, which is the single largest platform of Marathi people. The initiative that you are taking on Maharashtra's Accelerator for AI, particularly LLM in Marathi. Inclusion is the key word, and I personally believe that everyone is someone. Minds on the margin are not marginal minds, and therefore going into the interior of Maharashtra, Bid, Buldana, Satara, Nashik is extremely sort of inclusion. I want to applaud you on that. I think that's very important. One of the things, although, that I had said, I will repeat. While explaining the meaning of exponential, if you look at 2016, we had 476 registered startups. By 2021, there were 70,000. Okay. The second part was that until 2016, we were creating one unicorn per year. In 2021, we created one unicorn per week, almost 44, not 52. And the beautiful part of it, Ramesh, was that 50% of them, I did the analysis, came from Tier 3, Tier 2 cities. That's a great news. That's a great news. That is the inclusion. That is democratization of wealth. That's what the country needs. Because inequalities are going to be a big challenge for us from social harmony point of view. So this is something fantastic. Looking forward, of course, there are some obvious things. Like Ramesh, we were discussing yesterday, digitalization, decentralization, and decarbonization. Those 3 Ds are obvious. We have to do things with speed, with scale, and sustainability. Our scale is large. We are talking about 1.43 billion people. But we have to do it with speed, not the usual rate of growth. Expansion, yes, but inclusion along with excellence, that's a must. But the fourth one is innovation, innovation, innovation. I always said that I in India must stand for innovation. I in industry must stand for innovation. All right. And why? Because it is the innovation-led growth which can lead to the exponential, not otherwise. And not incremental innovation, disruptive, game-changing innovation that can lead us to an exponential growth. Otherwise, we'll be stuck on 10%, not 10x. Okay? I want to say something in terms of the 5-point agenda I would like to sort of set. I think first is about the innovation itself, the character of the innovation. If you look at the Western world, they do what I like to call as MML, more from more for less people, less and less people. iPhone 6, iPhone 10, iPhone 16, iPhone 100, the costs keep on increasing and it becomes available to less and less people. So more and more for less and less people. In India, we take pride in Jugaad. I don't take pride in Jugaad. Jugaad is doing less from less for more and more people. Less from less because you have some knockdown features, no attention to sustainability, no attention to aesthetics, make it happen somehow or the other. The number of Jugaad vehicles who created accidents is anybody's business. So LLM is not the model. So MML is not the model, LLM is not the model. The real model is MLM, getting more from less for more and more people. All right. Now that seems odd. More from less, come on, what are you talking about? Because more from less is almost saying affordable excellence, right? We always say affordability, oh my goodness, it can't be excellent. Excellent, it can't be affordable. But India has demonstrated it. And I can give you lots of examples. In my San Francisco lecture was full of that, by the way, so I'm not going to sort of repeat it. Because what it does is providing access equality despite income inequality, which is itself sort of a paradox. Now you can just imagine if you have affordable excellence, excellence implies that if it matches world standards, you have global markets, basically. But if it is affordable, you can see, you can include the excluded. So I would say that would be the first agenda. The second agenda has to be talent, technology and trust. I'm a great believer in the power of Indian talent, by the way. All right? As Atalji had said, India's future is in IT, IT as in information technology. I agree with him, but IT as in Indian talent. Technology, no issue at all. We have sort of demonstrated that. But the trust is the critical part, I would say. Okay? We have to believe in ourselves that we can do it and we can support. I remember I've been the co-chairman of Maharashtra State Innovation Society from 2018, right from the time it started. And the Honorable Skill Development and Entrepreneurship Minister is the co-chairman. And in 2018, we created a startup policy. And I remember saying at that time that Sachin Tendulkar scores a century when he's 15 in Ranji Trophy, but because he doesn't have 10-year experience, he can't get into a test. How can a startup have a 10-year experience? And therefore, the tendering processes, etc., the normal ones can't work. And I'm very happy, I'm very proud that we have had these flagship programs like Maharashtra Startup Week, where the best were selected are given work orders without following tendering process. Okay, simply on the basis of merit. Of course, there are some criteria. And see the difference it makes. Like 2018, the Sagar Defense, they had these drones. PCMC gave them the order, and they cleared 1.7 tons of debris that was created after Ganesh Utsava. Then they went to Nagpur, they went to Bombay, and today they are one of the biggest suppliers of surveillance equipment to army. Those doors were open to them. So opening of those doors by trust, I think, is extremely important. I have seen how people suffer as a result of lack of trust. You know, later on I'll talk about Anjani Mashelkar Foundation and its awards. Naveen Khanna, one of the awardees, had developed a dengue test where within 15 minutes you can recognize whether you have dengue or at what stage it is. Normally it takes 1 or 2 days. And I remember it was US FDA approved, US patents, everything. Nobody would buy it. Why? Because we were borrowing them from US, from South Korea and Australia. Then came pandemic, all the kits were getting exhausted. Then we went to these 3 countries. 2 of them said, no, we can't give in time. South Korea said, we can. But they loaded the kits on the wrong ship, which went to Africa. So we had no kits. So there was no other way but to go to Khanna's kits. Okay? Khanna's market share at that time was 0%. Today it is 75%. But imagine if the ship had come, it would be still 0%. Talent, technology and trust. We must believe in our own technology. So that is my second point. The third point is about financing innovations. Venture capital many times turn out to be vulture capitals. They want profits within 2 or 3 years. What we need is an adventure capital. I remember creating a program called New Millennium Indian Technology Leadership Initiative, where we gave money to private sector on a big grand challenge at 0% interest. And see the difference it has made, because it was all about risk taking. Our Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated a fuel cell driven ferry, hydrogen fuel cell PM fuel cell, completely indigenously developed, way ahead of the rest of the world on 28th February. Okay? and it's all about greening waterways. It is going to have a huge impact. But when did we start? When nobody talked about fuel cells. Because Indian industry had always worked where markets were certain, technologies were certain. We went into areas where technologies were uncertain and markets were uncertain. And today you can see we have a leadership position. So I think that risk financing is very, very critical indeed. I'm very happy to announce that, for example, just on 26 September, we had the inauguration of Garda Innovation Fund, 35 crore, which is replenishable. But what it is going to do is provide patient capital and also compassionate equity and taking chance, taking risks of the kind that we are basically talking about. That's the third. The fourth wish list that I have, I'm not a great believer in best practice. Because when you say I'm following best practice, you are following. I'm a believer in next practice. We should become best practice for others. As simple as that. Then you would say, is it possible? Yes. The Anjani Mashelkar Foundation, which I started 14 years ago, only awards those who create next practice. Let me give you an example. Take breast cancer. What is the best practice? Mammography. Painful. Radiation. Expensive. Now, there is a breakthrough of iBreast where you have a device which you just move around the breast, okay? And you know within 2 minutes whether you have breast cancer. Now, this has gone to 20 countries. Lancet has ranked it as the best non-invasive sort of device, by the way. It's incredible. Done by a young man, Mir Shah. All right. And Goa, I was just in Goa last week, and they have done 1 lakh screenings, out of which 34 were found to be sort of positive. They are doing 1.5 lakh, and so on and so forth. It is spreading. UP is doing now 5 lakh, and so on and so forth. So that becomes the next practice. But will it remain the next practice? No. Just round the corner here in Venture Center, there is a young entrepreneur, a girl, who has created something. Ramesh, you just breathe. Because when breast cancer happens, there are certain proteins that are generated. There are volatile organic chemicals in parts per million that are generated, which you can spot, basically, by molecularly imprinted polymers. Currently, the clinical tests are going on. I'm sure it is going to succeed. It's going to be extremely affordable, but it is ultimate in non-invasive. Because at least here, Narendra, you are touching the breast. There you don't, you just breathe. That's what we need to do. And these are all 30 plus minus 5, by the way. So what is special about them is that they are not going for valuations, they are going for values. They are not going for creating billions of dollars, they want to bring smile on the faces of a billion. All right? That's what makes me extremely sort of confident. So that is my fourth agenda, best practice to next practice. There are other examples that I can give, but I don't have time. And the last one is making high technology work for all. We talked about it yesterday. AI is what we talk about. Pratap Rao, I must congratulate you for the great initiative that you have taken, where you said that even for a 1 acre land, which marginal, sub-marginal land, you can make a difference by using AI and so on and so forth. Can we do it in healthcare, for example? Yes. Out of 14 awardees, 6 of them are AI sort of powered. Let me give one example. There is what is called as a Save Mom. Save Mom has become a Harvard Business School case study, by the way. Okay, what does Save Mom do? When women in rural villages get pregnant, okay, they have to change buses to go to the medical center for checkup. So Senthil, the young man whose sister was doing it, said why that should be. And he created a wearable along with a device where 7 parameters could be measured remotely. Okay? Not only that, because it was AI powered, in the first 3 months you could predict the pregnancy, when it is going to be, whether it is going to be safe, and so on and so forth, etc. Cost 1,000 rupees for 1,000 days. ₹1 per day. They onboarded 2.3 million pregnant women so far. Andhra Pradesh has made it sort of compulsory. You can just imagine what difference it can make. And now the results that are coming, some of the healthiest babies being born, and the rest of it is absolutely incredible. And there are other examples that I can give, like DOSI, the ballistic cardiography, and ARCA, the risk assessment, etc., etc. I will not go through that. The point I'm trying to make, when we talk about AI for all, this is AI for all, because this goes to poorest of the poor people. And most importantly, it is made in India for the world, because many of them have gone to 12 countries, 20 countries, one of them to 40 plus countries. Not only that, papers in Nature, they have appeared, papers in Pursuit of National Academy of Science have appeared, Lancet, they have appeared, and as I said, Harvard Institute. This is the idea of affordable excellence, as a matter of fact. You do cutting edge science, basically, and I'm sure Samir Mitra Gutri will be talking about the importance of such research later in the day. Let me conclude. I always conclude by good news. I'll push all the bad news in between and end with good news. I think the good news is that the Indian talent is flowering. Just take a walk across this Baner Road. This used to be called Baner Village. Ramesh, there are 100 plus startups today here. Okay? And of course, there are co-working spaces, incubators, accelerators, venture capital investors, and so on and so forth. They are in software development, SaaS, and so on and so forth. Bhau Institute, Narendra, I must thank you for making me again a part of this. It has gone places one feels very proud. The Venture Center, just round the corner again, when President started the Best Incubator Award, the first gold medal was won by Venture Center. They are all high science based. And the girl who has created this, just breathe and you know whether you have cancer, by the way, it comes from there. They are all only high science based, nothing else. There is real innovation, no renovation, basically. We have to stop renovation now. We have to stop that 10% and so on and so forth. I think that's sort of great news. I'm seeing my own state, Maharashtra state, rising. In the ranking, it was 2019 an aspiring leader. 2021, it became a leader, and 2024, it has become a top performer. So we are rising. But again, divine discontent. Last year, I was in Bangalore, and I spoke there. They had asked me to give the valedictory. And I said, I'd done some research, and I said, Karnataka is a 40% state. Why? 40% of the global capability centers are in Karnataka, mostly in Bangalore. 40% of Indian software talent is in Karnataka. 40% of the unicorns are in Karnataka. 40% of high-tech exports from Karnataka. Can we not beat them? Of course we can. And that is where government, its policy, because the best news that we have is about young talent. So I like to end by that. Yesterday, Prataprava had a very interesting conversation with what is called as a Smile Foundation. They run a very interesting they pick 6th and 7th standard students to make sure that they get interested in science and they pursue in science. Because India's challenge is that the best minds have to go for science, they don't do, and then there is a sort of a challenge, So how do you do that? And it's interesting. They are telling them about entrepreneurship. For example, soap making. Namaskar. Yeah. So I was just telling you about the 6th, 7th standard because we are talking about entrepreneurship. They teach them entrepreneurship, like soap making. How do you manufacture the soap? How do you brand it? How do you advertise it? How do you sell it? Can you imagine? Young children are being taught entrepreneurship in Maharashtra, and that's such a sort of proud privilege. And then, of course, the aspirations. I was talking to some young people on the other day, and of course, Satya Nadella's name you have been seeing in the newspapers recently. So I said, look at Satya Nadella, look at Sundar Pichai, you must become something like that. And you know what one of the young persons said? Sir, you are wrong. We don't want to be Satya Nadella. We don't want to be Sundar Pichai. I said, why? They said, your generation, the only desire you had was to go to US somehow. The next generation, the only desire was to go to US and land in a good job, like in Microsoft. The next generation, the only desire was to go to US, get a job in Microsoft and become CEO. Not us. We want to create our own Microsoft, our own Google here. Thank you.